What is up, everybody? Thank you guys for tuning in again today. I hope you guys like what we have prepared for you today. Um, we're going to do a law enforcement topic, and today it's going to be about off duty life. And, that kind of encompasses a lot of things, but when we're looking at specifically off duty life, what I'm going to talk about is how I think that cops should act off duty. I think what's best for us, as well as kind of the reasons why certain cops act like they do off duty. We're just kind of look at that whole dilemma. So um, we'll just jump right into it. There's basically two sides to it. I mean, you have your typical people who, when you see, I don't know, outside of the law enforcement community, but there's a bunch of memes that basically go on that say, um, off-duty cop, right? Like how to spot an off-duty cop in public, and they're wearing cargo pants still, a belt, a shirt that's tucked in, or maybe like a bulge on the side of where they're carrying. They're wearing the Oakley glasses still, the short haircut, that that whole scenario, right? And then we have basically the other version, which is more towards what I like to do, which is you would never know that I'm a cop off duty unless you knew me. For the most part, that's kind of what I aim for. So, to really understand this issue better, we got to look into a couple things. We got to look into what I view is that the reason that people act how they do off duty, either both sides of the spectrum, is mostly rooted in what goes on and the positive and negatives that happen being a law enforcement officer in society today. So, just I don't want to get into a huge bunch of it, but we kind of need a little bit of a background. So we'll go into that. But basically, what we see is some of the struggles is you realize once you become a cop and things that you start noticing in your life is, your eyes are wide open. And what I mean by that is you start to see everything, right? Like traffic violations, people's hands, people's movements, the sketchy guy who's walking around, even people who aren't sketchy. You just are looking around at everybody, and that really can take a toll on you, and it really affects because you're so used to looking at that on duty that you take it off as well, and that's a really hard part for myself, and I think for everyone else who's a cop or has been a cop in the past to shut that off. So I think that's a big issue of it. One of the other big things is that cops necessarily aren't extremely well liked right now in society. We have a pretty negative image that we've made for ourselves, and sometimes that has been blown out of proportion, but some of that's we made for ourselves, and that comes up no matter what. I mean, it's really general small talk, right? You're making small talk with somebody. Hey, how's it going? Oh, good, good, good. What are you doing? What do you do for a living? Boom, right there, right? Oh shoot, do I tell this person what I do for a living, or do I not? Now, that's something I've struggled with big time, right? I kind of play my surroundings when I do that. I have an alter ego even. Luke Milton, I make it up. He works at Walmart. That's me when I go out to people that I don't know. I've done that before where I give out a name where I work at Walmart and I stalk the back of shelves like I'm a night stalker because I don't want people to know that I'm a cop for a couple reasons, okay? We have one reason major, and it annoys us so much, but you guys are never going to stop doing it, I promise you, because it's so often, is that, oh, you're a cop? Oh, let me tell you this awesome story of how I got pulled over, or I got into a crash, or I was drunk and I didn't do anything wrong and this cop stopped me. Blah, 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 blah. All these random cop stories. Please stop with those. They're terrible. We don't really care. We don't want to hear about your story. We have stories to share. If you tell me that you work, oh yeah, I work in the deli. Oh man, you should. This one time I went to the deli. That just doesn't happen. We don't do that. So that's one reason why people don't like to share that. But the other reason, I think the priority or the prior, I can't even speak today. The top reason that we're going with that is that then that conversation is different. That interaction that we had between each other is now changed because you're gonna second guess what you want to tell me because now you know that I'm a cop. So whether it's a story that had to do with anything criminal or not, you're gonna think about, oh shoot, now I don't know if I want to tell this person everything, because they might judge me or they might think of me differently, anything like that. So that can really change the dynamic of that conversation and friendship that we have going on, or soon to be friendships. So that's honestly one of the bigger things there. Outside of the cop stories, those kill us, but still. Other than that, a couple other struggles that comes with being a cop that comes into your personal life is it can really fuck with your emotions and your sense of humor, big time. I mean, you can go from your emotions are all over the board, or I think the more common one is your emotions just completely shut down and shut off because of the crazy stuff you see, as well as your sense of humor. Now that's kind of where mine really comes in, is my sense of humor is big time. It's jacked up. I find a lot of things funny, or I don't get affected by a lot of things. So those are kind of two in one for me. So that's a negative of the job that can bleed into personal life. And it ruins, being a cop ruins some activities and even friends that you used to have. I really used to like socializing and going out, but now big crowds, I can't relax. I can't calm down because there's so many people, there's so many sets of hands, everything is going on. I just can't relax to the point to have a good time. So that kind of jacks me up. Personally, that's my thing that messes me up. Also, friends that you used to have. Now, they chose to go a different route. Whether it's before marijuana was illegal, now it's legal here in Colorado, but before it was illegal, that caused a huge rift between, friends you had that aren't law enforcement who wanted to smoke weed and it was illegal, and they think that you're a cop and you're going to judge them for that. So it kind of creates a separation there as well. But the biggest thing is, there's so many positives. So there we just kind of took a look at the negatives of the job that bleed into the personal life. Now I'd like to just take a little look of positives of actually being off duty. Like actually just shutting off work and just being you, right? Just taking off the vest and being Jordan, man, not being Trooper Kistler. Like, nah, none of that. So some of the positives are making new friends who aren't cops. I guarantee you, if a bunch of you are listening who are cops, you look at it and 99% of your friend bases are cops. And that's great for us for a certain capability because they have the same personalities, same opinions on everything, but that can just kind of continue to tunnel us. Now, having friends who aren't cops, one of the cool things is you get to hear opinions other than our typical A-personality opinions and thoughts, right? We tend to be very conservative, very straight-minded, kind of to the point, whatever. Well, making friends who aren't cops, we get to hear their personality bleed into conversation and their opinions and thoughts that are different than ours, which, can challenge us, frustrate us at times, I'm sure. But other than that, it really makes you grow hearing other opinions and not just always hearing the same thing. So ultimately, I think it really affects the longevity of your life, being able to just be off duty. It's so hard because this job, being in law enforcement, is so tiring and stressful and takes over a lot of portions of your life that you can get burnt out really quick if you don't allow yourself to be more than that, right? Like before I turned 21 and became a cop, I was somebody else. I still existed. I don't need to be Cop Jordan now for the rest of my life until it just doesn't make any sense. So that being said, I think that's a great way to not be burnt out. My personal advice is learn to be off duty, whatever that looks like for you. For me, you got to find your hobby. For me, I love entertaining. I love having people over to my house. I love playing Xbox online. I love doing things like that. I love having the occasional drink and cigars. I like that a lot. But you got to find what it is for you, right? Like you got to find what it is for you because you're going to get burnt out. You're going to get tired and sick of being a cop all the time. You're going to be stressed out. It's going to affect your relationships, your friendships, your family. But looking down on it, my personal advice is some of the things will just be ruined for you. That's some of the sucky part that we took on when we became cops, is that certain parts of your life are going to be ruined for you, and they're not going to be there anymore. And things like that is what I mean is, certain friends, maybe you're not going to be able to hang out with them, whether that's your choice or their choice. That's just life. But you got to find a way to get over that and change. So that's my view. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let me know in the comments below how you guys view about off-duty cops. Thanks, guys.